0800 yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? KO here with another episode of Whatever In It. Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? 0800 yo fam, whatever in it. Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? 0800 yo fam, whatever in it. 0800 yo fam, what's good, what's a popping? I don't know why I've adopted switching the way I say it at the end of it. I don't know, but it's just really fun to do. Today's episode, I'm going to talk about hair. And more specifically, why you shouldn't touch someone's hair. It's horrible. You know what I'm saying? Very horrible. You know, you just feel violated. Because not only is someone invading your personal space, they are putting their grubby hands, and you don't know where they've been, all in your hair. You know what I'm saying? And it's there's no justification whatsoever. And it's an inappropriate touch as well. And it's yeah. Let me not just jump out the window and get straight to it, because it's a very emotional subject and it tends to happen to a lot of us. And when I say a lot of us, I mean people of colour. But then when I say people of colour, I am saying black people. Yes, black people of African descent with afro hair. You always get motherfuckers reaching out the blue and touching your fucking hair, or asking to touch your hair, or saying mad things about your hair when they're intrigued and not really doing so with sensitivity. But it's almost as though because you've been through the trauma so much, it's when someone does mention something about your hair, you're just or you see that they want to touch it, it's almost as though you rage, but you don't get offended because you come to expect it. How fucked up is that? That is fucked. And I'm sorry to be swearing so much, but it's just one of those things. Before I even started growing my hair, I used to think, I never quite understood. I always knew it was a violation, but I never understood why people had this infatuation with touching other people's hair. And when I say other people, I mean black people's hair. You know what I'm saying? I've got some war stories. And the war story is, I don't know if you remember, if you know me in it, if you remember around about the top of 2015, I started work on a project, and I said I weren't going to cut my hair until the project was wrapped up and ready to be released. Footnote to this is the project never got released. It got pushed back because it was a collaborative project, and then I just went off and explored into my own rabbit hole. But yeah, anyway, so I started growing my hair. But the more it was growing is the more I don't know, it's I formulated this mad bond with it. And then one of my colleagues, my old colleagues anyway, he no longer works with the company anymore. He was the longer your hair grows, you have mad powers in it. And then me, I believed it because I had always heard tales of people from Aboriginal or native societies who the more hair they had on their head, they was more instinctive to their environment, and it made them better hunters. So there's that. I love the fact that, say for instance with afro hair, it defies gravity because it grows upwards rather than just flat. So I liked that. And then I liked that your hair was an extension of your nervous system, and it could perhaps become receptors to the universe and all the energies and shit. But to be honest, I just really liked running my hands through my hair, all of that shit. And I'd never had long hair. Like, never ever grown it. I'd always gone to the barbers, got a haircut and blah blah blah. But then I was starting to get sick of going to the barbers, because you go to a barber and you're there for pretty much the whole day. Or even if you have an appointment, you go to the barber and it's just all out the way and shit, and then you end up feeling exhausted when you come out of the chair. You know, it's never at like a good time. Like, you know, you can never get an appointment for the barber shop at 9 a.m. because maybe the barber's got to do the school run, or he's traveling from far, or he really doesn't care about opening the shop at the same time every day. But anyway, I digress. So I'm growing my hair, you get me? And then I had some annual leave, I remember. And then one day I walked into work and there was this person that I worked with, right? And he was quite high up. And he wasn't from, like, you know, he wasn't from London or any of those places. He was from somewhere within Europe. And he probably didn't, you know, let me not rationalize it, because, you know, as a victim of the fuckery, sometimes it's easy to rationalize it, and sometimes, because when you go through this sort of trauma a lot as a black person, you kind of rationalize other people's behaviors just so you don't rage. You get me? So I'm walking down and I've gone, oh, what's popping? And my man, I've seen the hand reach in slow motion, you know, and I'm thinking, oh my god. And like, at this stage, I'm not even thinking. I'm still like, what's popping? My man's just pushed his hand in my hair. Yeah. Pushed his hand in my hair. And I was stunned. It's like, I think within that split second, I can't even remember if I was angry or raging, or like so used to the fuckeries happening, because as a black person you always experience this shit in Western societies. Like, people always want to run their hands through your hair or feel your beard or fucking comment on your skin color and your food and shit. Like, you're bringing food and you heat it up in the microwave and someone's coming over trying to fucking shove their nose in your plate of food. Like, these are all microaggressions that as a black person you experience on a day to rascal day. So when I saw this hand moving, I was like, I don't even know if I was thinking at that point. Then man's hands just was in my, I remember it was at the stages where it was forming, you know, but it wasn't how it is now. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yo, what are you doing? He was like, I just wanted to feel your hair. I just wanted to feel your hair. Like, a terrible accent, you know what I'm saying? Terrible accent. But I just had to school him on why it's not cool just to push your hand in someone's hair. And bear in mind, this is before, you know, people from other cultures were openly starting to be woke to things. There weren't such a big movement acknowledging other people's differences and why it's not cool to do certain things. There was none of that, you know. Unconscious bias and like stereotypes, all of that shit was rife. And we are talking as early as like 4 years ago. Like, shit wasn't as it is now, where it is totally not cool to do that stuff. Like, man just shoved his hand in my hair, innit? Violated me. And I remember at that point, one of my colleagues was like to the right of me, and she's black. And I remember just looking around and I just saw her looking in shock. Fucking shocked. And it's the only thing, it's like, you know, if you experience the same experiences as people that you've either grown up the same or from the same culture or whatever, you can tell when there's violation or fuckeries. I liken it to being like, with black people, you have like several more dimensions. Like, you can actually spot when someone's energy's off because you're black. You can spot all of the funny behavior that other people don't see. You can spot the unconscious bias, the racism, the prejudice, all of that shit when other people are mad, like oblivious to that shit. And I looked around and she spotted it, and me and her was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And like I said, this was in the days where, you know, shit like that was not being called out because, you know, there weren't big movements going on highlighting other issues. So people were getting away with fuckeries. You know what I'm saying? I remember I'm with someone, they've come in and people are discussing the fact that her hairstyle looked like Sideshow Rascal Bob. Like, imagine that. But like I said, it was in the days before shit like that was uncool, or, you know, people understood that that stuff is not good to say because you could lose your job and rare. It's crazy. It is very crazy. And I felt violated. You know what I'm saying? And I remember what triggered this, you know, flurry of postings online and shit. What triggered it is that I saw a video that was entitled "When People Try and Touch Your Hair," with two birds. I think there's like a cockatoo or one of them white parrots, and there was like an owl. And the other bird, the cockatoo thing, just kept on picking at the owl's fur, and it's very uncomfortable. And I think that brought the trauma back. That traumatic experience. And the maddest thing is, if I was to rage out and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you mad? I would look like the aggressor when someone has invaded my personal space and touched me inappropriately. Like, let's be real here. Physically running your hands through someone's hair, someone doesn't have to touch your batty, your breast, your crotch, whatever. That is still an invasion of privacy and an invasion of space. Therefore, it is definitely inappropriate. Imagine I would have been painted as the aggressor. Because like I said, if we're looking into unconscious bias, we're looking into racism, whatever, right? People will deem you, if you're, I say it like this, right? Because I've experienced it, and other people within my diaspora and culture, we experience it every fucking day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to hear this and think, oh, well, I'm pointing the finger at you and blah, blah. No, I'm not. I'm just explaining the black experience. One of the echelons is this, right? If I were to be like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Someone's touched me inappropriately, but I feel like I couldn't react the way that I wanted to react because I would be thought of as, now I'm going to use my hands to put quotes above this word, as aggressive. You know, with black women, they're painted as sassy, or what's the favorite one? Having an attitude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might not get this. You might not get it. Because you've never had to live life in the other dimensions of your unconscious bias, your racism, your prejudice, of the fucking labels, of the assumptions. But you know, this is an episode about hair and how someone tried to run their hands into my hair and violated me. But just watching that little video that I saw on Twitter, it brought it all back. Brought all of the trauma back, and I was like, oh my God. And it made me reflect on other people's experiences. Like, I remember a friend was telling me, right, that she was shopping for makeup. Supposed to be in a safe place, a safe public space. So as you're looking at the makeup palettes and whatnot, you've felt someone just grab your hair. Like, she's wearing braids. Someone just grabbed her hair out of nowhere. And she's looked round, and when she's like, what the fuck are you doing? The two women are looking at her like she's in the wrong. So I feel like, you know, you might think that this episode is like about something trivial, but it's not. It's educating you about the black experience, and that's one part of the black experience. So don't touch my hair. Word to Emma Dabiri, she's got a book called Don't Touch My Hair. She also done a podcast. She features on the BBC History episode where she talks a bit about the origins of like black African hairstyles and why it's not cool to touch people's hair. The Western fetishization with touching other people's hair from different cultures. She goes quite in depth about that. But yeah, it's not good to touch my hair. On the upside, I got a shape up from Slider Cuts. Just happened to come from a sample cell elsewhere. Walked into sneaker store in Shoreditch, and there was a barber chair in there, and I got a free trim. But I'm gonna buy his book called Shaping Up the Culture. Peace. I'm God.
Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? 0800 yo fam, whatever innit? Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? Yo fam, what's good, what's poppin'? 0800 yo fam, whatever innit?